people! There's a piano. There is actually a piano. This is what happens when Reclaim comes. They walk up the hill with a piano. Hi, Gandalf. Jenny's taking over my life.
This morning? You okay?
Yeah, wonderful day.
So we've been here about 5 minutes, haven't we?
Yeah, we just arrived.
This is Miranda, who you all know, town councillor in Kirkham.
And to have that element of joy back in the protest. I had a bit of a prophetic moment yesterday morning. I heard the words, joy is resistance. And these are the first words I heard yesterday morning. My radio alarm was set to a music channel, and the broadcaster was promoting a new album, and it was called Joy is Resistance. So I took this to be a sign of positivity, a bit of an omen, if you will. It's been a tough few years on Fylde. It's been tough seeing our local democracy being trashed by central government. It's been tough knowing that what happens here could be played out across the country, despite evidence showing that fracking is not safe, that the cumulative effects of health and well-being on the communities that it invades are long-term and massive. It's tough knowing that accidents happen, but it's even tougher being told you're scaremongering when you ask where the emergency plan is, when you ask, can we see an emergency plan? We stand shoulder to shoulder, lock on arm to lock on arm with those that are fighting ecocide, whether it be through mining, tree felling, fracking, from Yorkshire, Durham, Nottinghamshire, Cheshire, Surrey, Sussex.
So good morning. We've been here for 537 days. And most mornings I walk up here at 7:15 in the morning, and it's a bit like the passage from your bedroom to the kitchen. You know, I pass from Maple and I reach here, and as we walk up the hill, you tidy a few of the ribbons and you reach the top. And for the most part, there's at least been some way of venting our anger, distress and dismay at what's come to our community. It was soul destroying in the beginning, watching that platform start to emerge from a field that formerly had cows. And then as it was rising up, each day you were soul destroyed. But then you could stop the trucks and you could stand in front of them and you could vent that anger. And thanks to all that and everything that Reclaim did last year, we ended up with them 9 to 12 months behind schedule and with a share price that's 2/3 down on what it was. So, in all honesty, and I truly believe this, that this industry will fail on a balance sheet rather than any bloodshed on the side of a road, which would be really nice. But the only thing that gets that balance sheet to collapse is us. Because the only way we kill the shareholder confidence is to keep on coming back for more. And when Reclaim impacted the supply chain, that kicked the hell out of them. Because suddenly supply chain now look at Quadrilla and go, well, if we are going to supply you, it's got to be at a premium rate because we're going to get delayed and there is going to be issues. So everything we've done has achieved so much. And then the worst of all things happened. Well, apart from the fact that I did my very first ever lock-on after 7 years, which 21 hours, I'm just saying, as a first. In like a really amazing caravan setup, but apart from that. But the reason it was a bad thing is that I'd said at the beginning of this fight, I will not do anything that the average citizen, maybe in her retirement years, couldn't do. I'm going to do everything that democracy gives me, and I'm going to try every single tool to make truth come to the top. so that we can just say, look, it's obvious. This is going to harm our children. How can you possibly let it proceed? You're playing Russian roulette with them. But in the end, that truth just would not rise and would not rise. And every time you got it near the top, some corrupted bastard at the top would make sure it didn't come out, or that we smoothed the way for just another borehole. So that was a really bad day, because it meant the democracy failed completely, and I really did try. So then I thought, well, okay, then I've got my body, and I'm going to do what you guys do, and I'm going to use it in lots of places and stuff. And then a week later, the injunction came, and that made it difficult in some ways. And then the next week, they took our art. And we had what was the equivalent of a bayou tapestry up this road. You know, some of the incidents and things that had occurred had been noted in ribbons and art all along the fencing. And they came and they stripped it all down. So they took away our ability to use our bodies and to use our art, as well as having smashed democracy in the process. So we were bereft, and I think we couldn't have reached a more rock bottom thing. And then you walked up a hill with a phoenix and a piano. And that just, you know, it makes you realize that it doesn't matter. Whatever happens, we will find a way to rise up. We will find people who will stand with us. And even if it is only for a period of time that you can spare us, that gives us the energy to get through the next bit. We have no qualms about being here for another 530 days or another 10,030 days, because we can't end. Someone said, what happens if you lose? I don't know, what does losing look like? Because we can't go home until we succeed, because in the end it's our presence here that keeps our children safe. So we must keep doing this. And for everybody who stayed, you guys are incredible. I have never seen people who can manage to drink in the evening and sit down quietly and not disturb anyone, and then everyone gets to bed and is still up at 5 in the morning eating porridge. I attempted to get to a loo and had to pass people doing good things to sun worshipping. I just thought, wow. And somebody, one of our lot, said to us, who polices them? Who tells them, you know? And I was like, no, nobody. That's just how genuinely lovely they are. It just works that way. So from the bottom of my heart, and from everybody else who gets up each morning and stands at the side of this road without enough people to help us, thank you so much. You have made a big, beautiful threat. They try to pretend we're small in number, but we know this is a worldwide movement. And just every once in a while, you need that show of who else would be here if you could be here every day as well. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Give it up one more time for Tina!
Indulge me now, because this is something that I've literally always wanted to see happen at these gates. So I'd like you to welcome a very, very special guest. Come hither, my friend. Let's give it a round of applause all the way from Middle Earth.
Well, not that special, really. I mean, you know, you're all special, aren't you? But today we bring our magic with us, and I just want to thank you all and thank the nanas and all you guys up here for putting this on. And we're from Herefordshire, so we're from the Shire down there. And I just want some of you to yell out where you are from. So let's have the Shire. Worcestershire. Devonshire. Putneyshire. Londonshire.
Leicestershire.
Which Shire? Glastonbury. Somersetshire. Lincolnshire. Every shire in the country, and people from all over the world are here and they're watching. If they're not here, we represent them, and we're here we represent 1,000 people each, 100 people each. We're 4 of us, and we brought... Oh. Come on, Sam. Let's get to the top of that mountain. I'm sure we can get up there. Oh, I don't know, it's such a long way, Frodo. Oh, it's not really very far at all. We can make it. We're together, we can make it. So, just one last message for them. I've always wanted to do this as well, ever since I saw Country Joe McDonald do it at Woodstock. I mean, not actually there, but... Give me a they! Hey! Give me a shall! Shall! Give me a not! Not! Give me a pass! Pass! What does that spell? They shall not pass! What does that spell? They shall not pass! What does that spell? They shall not pass! Thank you, Preston. Well done.
Gandalf, everybody! Woo!
Right, here we are at Preston New Road, and a novel new view of it.
Yeah.
We're sat on the side of the pavement.
Between the toilet and the gate cab, because it's the only shade spot.
We don't do things on the cheap.
It's a hot day.
Which is nice though, because we have been here for like 537 days, and I'd say probably 534 of them or so been a bit wet and cold.
Yes. Yes, I bet.
And
Well,
here there's no shelter. Once the hedges go in the winter, there's nothing. It's just a through wind. Yeah, it can be quite brutal.
amazing. You've been here all that time.
Yeah.
And on average, how many people per day? I mean, today's a special day, but
It's different every week, but I mean, we guarantee Mondays are good and Wednesdays are good. Mondays we have Green Mondays, and always they pull something out of their hat with a good speaker. And so Mondays you always have a good, 30 to 60 will always be on the road. Wednesday's the same because that's the women's call for calm. The rest of the week though, and particularly the height of the winter, there were some mornings 35 of us standing here at 7:15, and it was funny because I got up one day and the ladies were saying, it was usually women, and they were saying to each other, I can't get it. What have you done? And one of them dropped something. We're all dressed like Michelin men. No one can bend. If anyone falls down, they're lost. So yeah, it's been comical, but you found the good bits,
But that's actually the thing about good protest. It has to be fun. It has
yeah.
to be music, dance, theatre, costume, and laughter, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's what keeps us all going.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the point is that even when it gets to its worst, sometimes that brings out the best in people.
Yeah.
So someone can see someone else floundering, they then become something comical or engaging to draw you out. And then that just makes them a better person too. So yeah, it's a win-win really.
And we're here very much because you came down to us a couple of years ago. So it's about 2 years.
Yeah, back in 16 it was, wasn't it?
down to
Yeah.
Simmons,
Yeah.
And just go through a little bit of what's changed in those 2 years, Tina, up here, because this is the front line.
Yeah,
This is the
so
front line.
at that point we were still able to do touring and going and visiting other groups because we didn't have them back yet. But they came back in early 17 on the 4th of January, and they've been here ever since building this site. They're nearly 9 to 12 months behind schedule though, because it's been highly effective. And that's been good, but it means we've been very much trapped here for the 537 odd days because we can't be away anywhere else, In the meantime, all that stuff's gone on over in Yorkshire, we couldn't even support them. But we've had lots of people come and support us, so we've been very fortunate.
And also, we all know you now because you've been around in the 5 years previously.
Yeah,
You've done your travelling, so we know who you are. We know the message. We know we've got a connection.
Yeah.
So basically, that's what it's all about. We
It
come
is.
to you,
Exactly.
and then we take it back to our own.
It's like I look at days like this, and all I see is returning the favour.
Yeah.
Because we did so much travel,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, people are like, "Wow, how did you manage to get so many people?" And because we went to meet so many people. And you know what? What's strange? It's like, and especially as you're dressed like this, because I can look at like history and fantasy and look back in time and think, this is how allegiances were formed. And I find myself saying stupid things. I feel like I'm in Game of Thrones. Like I went south once and I had to meet 7 groups to try and plan a thing. And I'm like, you'll stand with the North when we need you, won't you? I thought, what? This is like a line from a film. But then you get that you need to maintain those allegiances.
Yeah.
And that sometimes like people stand next to you as if they're in solidarity. And whereas like it's a bad person or an outsider who's trying to absorb like I've got credibility. And then other people you can't wait to stand beside to say, hey look, we're okay. So this like increases our credibility with our own networks too, because then it makes you think, oh okay then, well I really respect him, so she's probably all right.
Certainly.
And that's how it works, because we live in a world where we're so misled by media and misled by deliberate stuff that goes on to make us confused about who to trust and who not to.
Yes.
And the only way to do that is human to human.
Yes.
And so when we met, there was an instant affinity and we instantly got close. So it was easy, and then that means that I have never been able to not say, oh, I can guarantee I can share your stuff, or say, oh yeah, when you're
Exactly.
down there, meet up with this lot. Yeah, so
Sure.
it's important.
And like I said in that little piece earlier on, there are only 4 of us from Hereford here today, but we represent 1,000 people.
You do.
Or more.
Yes, there was a study
Or
done,
more.
an actual study done that was for each activist that can,
how many do they represent that can't? And that was a long time ago before social media. And at that point in time, it was only about 80 people each. But even that's substantial. Whereas now on social media, I remember one night I said, anybody who wishes they could be here, just write your name and I'll write it on this sheet and take it with me. Oh, 5 o'clock in the morning I stopped writing. I was on my 3rd sheet. I was like, I can't do anymore. But you know, all the people that wish they were here. You know, you get sometimes like the bad guys drive by and go, get a job. And I'm like, the reason we don't have as many people as we'd like is people do have jobs and wives and kids to support, or elderly parents to care for, or their mothers at home. So you don't, and like people are always apologising, like, I'm so sorry I can't give more. But you totally get that. I think I get the easiest ride because I gave up everything else. So I have no income, no benefits. My daughter's big enough now to look after my granddaughter, so I'm not required. My sister takes care of our stepfather, so although he's getting sort of more needy. But essentially, and especially for the last 3 months where I've moved in and dedicated every day 100%, I can get up here at 7:15, I can finish 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and I'm straight back into the caravan doing social media. Whereas my sister will come up after getting everybody sorted in the house, spends a few hours, goes home, and still has to prep dinner, sort the house, do the shopping, plan the... And I don't have to do any of that. And we're sustained by the fact that we've got a fund that feeds the activists here. And then there's a lady that comes every week and puts £20 down my bra on a Wednesday and goes, that's your tobacco, love. And I don't have many other needs, really. So, and people are really kind, you know. Sometimes people go to my blog and they'll put a £5 or something and think, what?
It's really beautiful, actually, to see so many amazing young people. When we go to meetings, you know, it's all the old friends that we've been working with all our lives, and we've all got grey hair and sort of, we're all grandpas and grandmas. But here, wow, there's such a young energy, isn't it?
It's a nice energy.
So great.
But again, you know, like when I was that age, I didn't even look at the world. Apart from my bit in it and the bit of fun I was having. So I was a way more selfish youth. I mean, the fact that I look at these and I think, wow, I owe you so much because I just enjoyed the ride. I didn't do anything about ensuring it was safe for the next one, you know, until I bumped into the fact that it wasn't safe. So I think that, you know, we do owe it as the older generation.
We do.
You know, we totally owe them. You know, but again, it wasn't entirely our fault. We had the news at 10 saying, this is the news, and we didn't have the ability to question that. It's like, you know, question time had come on, you think, am I the only person on the planet who thinks you're all just absolute arseholes? And then along came Twitter. I'm on BBC QT as a hashtag, and the whole world agrees with me. I wasn't wrong, and then you start reaching out, and then all of a sudden you can find out who your real truths are, you know?
Yeah, but you know, I also think that that you look around and there are so many arseholes in power around the world.
Plenty.
It's the age of tyrants now, and actually, why did we let that happen?
Yeah, exactly.
Our generation, my generation, that let that happen.
Yeah.
Why? We took our eye off the ball. We headed for the hills.
Yeah.
We wanted the freedom and the sort of the space to do what we wanted, and it wasn't bad. It was actually forming a lives for ourselves. It was rejecting.
I think it was a natural evolution. Maybe you had to pass through that bit to get to this bit. We had to get into the, what do I want, to find what it was that delighted and what it was that you valued before realising, oh hell, maybe I need to make sure that's the same for everyone and not just me.
Yeah, maybe that's not the way that we did it, go into the corridors of power and actually sort of take up residence there because we didn't want to get perverted by it. And many people I've met who have come out of politics who've said, I can't stand it anymore, I just don't want to sort of be with those
Although
people
I think there's an argument to say, like I spoke to, I think it was Natalie Bennett the other day and Gina Dowling, one of our councillors, Green councillor, and there's a short list for people on the House of Lords for the Green Party, and I asked them why they weren't on it, and they said, oh no, I wouldn't want to, I just wouldn't like it in there, sort of thing. And I was like, yeah, but it's not, that's a bit selfish in a way, because the problem is that we have bad places full of bad people, and what you really need to do is infest them with good people so they are diseased by us.
Yes.
So you look at something like Jenny Jones and the effect she has in the House of Lords, and Caroline Lucas in the House of Commons, and she does disease them. They bring in these truths that are uncomfortable for others to deal with.
Yes.
So, yes, we avoided those places, but I think we shouldn't anymore. I think we need to look at it. It's like I didn't want to engage with voting or politics because I just thought it was all a waste of time full of fraudulent, corrupted people. But In the end, they have all of the controls that operate our railways, our schools, our healthcare. So even if we ignore them, they're still in control of everything. So you can't. We must engage. We must interrupt, and we must get good people into positions so that we can dismantle the system. Because the system itself is failing. So it's not democracy at all, is it? As you can tell by the injunction here.
Sure.
You know, this has been the most... If you guys had not come today, I don't know how I'd have coped. I was at my lowest ebb, I think, week before last. I don't think I've ever been as low, and that was when they stuck the injunction in place. And we're like, for the year and a half, we've at least had, there's a ball of rage, and it's precious, and it's huge, and it's vicious. But each day, it's slightly alleviated by stopping a truck, delaying it, slow walking, trying to jump on it, even though you never will, but at least you try, and leading to the delays that they've had. And when they took away the ability for us to do that, we just sat there and what? So the car truck came and I had to stand back, and it went in, and then no police came. Why do we need police? We're in our own private little invisible cages. So and then we thought, well, okay, let's do some more art. So we started doing the art. It helps get something out of you, and at least you got some time. And then they came the next day and they tore down all of our art. Every scrap disappeared in one night, and they just took it all. And we came back the next morning with 10 times as many bags of ribbons and put it all back up again. But the point being that they took away our ability to use our bodies, and now our ability to use our art, and we have run out of all other alternatives in democracy, otherwise I wouldn't have done a lock-on in the first place. So we're now at a point where what is left, and what's worrying is if we went home tomorrow, the people who've done this for the year and a half, and said, we're going to have a break, that's fine, we'll send a new lot to take place. The new baseline and the new normal is you stand over there with your placard. You do not use your body, you do not use your art, these are the rules. And they would only know those rules. And so as our generation was to leave the street, then that's all people would think they had, and that would be what they thought was acceptable. So I think it's a very dangerous time in history, and I think it's that serious, and that we need all of the activist groups on any subject to be looking very closely at the situation that they've just brought in with these injunctions, not just here, but anyone else is doing it too. Because then you'll get like planning for a green belt, and it'll go hand in hand with an injunction sheet, because they can say, well, that's got to be badly received, can't afford the policing.
So what stops that? Numbers of people, so that,
Yes and no, they won't tolerate this for long now. They're only tolerating these 2 days because they know that, in the end, it's 2 days. It's more trouble than it's worth, and the police will have said, in the interest of safety, you're better off closing. Because if we are less than 100 people, then they'll just move us out of the way. They also know we wouldn't even try because of the injunction. But when there are this many, they're not even putting a truck in front of us to look like we're breaking the injunction. But that's great, it's successful, that's what works. But you cannot have this many people at the roadside 5 days a week. You just can't, it's physically impossible. There's austerity, people are working their tushies off. And then those that aren't working their tushies off are too poor to come here, or they're searching for work. And don't forget also, anybody that does get onto benefits then gets hounded by them. I've seen you at the side of the road. You need to be looking for work. So, there is no ability to get that many people available. So, I don't know how we succeed, but I think that no matter what, at some point we have to have a turning point, and we have to say this injunction will not be respected, will not be honoured, and we will risk any penalty you're going to throw at us, but only people with no assets can do that. Because again, if you've got a house and you're caring for your children or your elderly relatives, how do you risk losing that asset or the things your families work towards? But they just want us to be scared. And the thing is, we are. Of course we're scared. They're very scary people. And they do scary things, and they limit your life, and they control it, and they start caging you in. But the thing is that, essentially, I see it, that I'm holding my granddaughter's hand. And if I let go of her hand, I say the government is responsible for her safety. We know that the government is not responsible, and is not caring, and will not consider her safety. So therefore, I can't let go of her hand, which means I can't leave here, and nor can I tolerate an injunction being placed upon me defending her. So I will find some way. We don't know what yet. We'll grow into that. We're still evolving. It's only been a couple of weeks, and the one thing I am aware of, though, is the one thing I've learned in activism, particularly this, is that the greater the diversity we are, the greater the solution we'll find. So we have enough diversity on this road, all looking at this problem going in despair at the moment. But I know that this shot of everyone coming has boosted us. And that by the time we all come back together next week and you're not here, that's okay. You left us a residue of passion and determination that will just get us through. And I know we will find a solution. I know we will. And quite worked out what it is, but it'll be there somewhere.
So, Barbara, everybody, hooray!
Good morning, everybody. First of all, thanks for coming. We really appreciate it. Our good friend introduced me as a local. The English Oxford Dictionary definition of local is in the vicinity of. So welcome, locals. You're all here. Unaccustomed as I am to speaking at 9 o'clock in the morning and being dumped in at 5 minutes notice, watching you all dance then just took me back a few years. When I was your age, my only sort of concern in life was the poll tax. And that was my first foray into non-violent demonstration, a march in London against the poll tax. Over the years, my life's changed. I did the usual things, got married, had the kids, got divorced, got married, had the kids, got divorced. You know how the story goes.
Buried him under the patio.
And I became a grandma, and 2 months ago I became a great-grandma. My priorities in life changed about 10 years ago when I suddenly realised that this earth that I love dearly, this community and this area that I'd grown up in, was possibly on the verge of a catastrophic change. And I became aware, well, more aware of climate change and basically how we were destroying the planet. And my father, who was a big part of my life, said to me one day, Armageddon's coming. Right, you're on detention. Lines as well. Right, so, you know, my life changed. And as I say, I became more aware. But if somebody had said to me a couple of years ago, you know, to this woman who put a suit on in the morning, went to work, made sure that everybody's VAT return was in and people got paid, that in a couple of years I'd be an activist, I'd have laughed them off the face of the planet. But I'm stood here today and I'm doing the best I can. And if we all do the best we can, the effect is enormous. Just one little bit. It doesn't take you to be here 24/7. You don't have to be waving a flag. You don't have to be marching. You could just send an email. You could just talk to somebody. Activism isn't about being there all the time. It is doing something to prevent something you believe is wrong. And we all believe that fracking is wrong. The events that have led up to this being here have been wrong. Our democratic right has been swept away. At every minute, every level, we were told, no, it's not going to happen, and we had a hope in our hearts, and then that was just thrown out the window by a government that does not care about the effect it has on our lives, our environment, the wildlife, the world as a whole. And to come down here and watch a green field be turned into an abomination is heartbreaking, because this is where I live. I don't live anywhere else, this is where I live. I can't go anywhere else because I live here. My family are here, my children, those grandchildren and those great-grandchildren are here. My job is to look after them in whichever way I can. And if it means giving them a better life when I'm no longer here, then that's what I'm going to do. And what I ask all you to consider is that you are all going to have a life like I've had. You are going to meet somebody, get married, have children, get divorced, get married, have children, get divorced. But what you've got to remember is what you do today is going to affect your life in the future. Your children who aren't even here yet, it's going to affect them, their children and their children. We have a minute in time, and that minute in time we can change the whole of the future. So you must take your minute in time, do your little bit of activism and change the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara. Give it up for Barbara, everybody. And I'd really like to thank all of the Lancashire people that keep this thing going and have shown, like, I've never seen a locality respond like this to anything before. And every time I come up, I'm just blown away by it. And I'm so grateful that these people stay on this site and they keep the energy going in this place. And yeah, I just want to say a massive thank you for that welcome and that warmth and that keeping that energy going, and for the welcome that we got on site, and for John giving us our land. Mr. Toodle? Toot Hill. Tootle. Mr. Tootle. Thanks, Tootle. Yeah, thank you, Tootle. Yeah, it was a gorgeous place to wake up. I kind of like popped my head out of my tent because just after my alarm would go off, or someone else's alarm had gone off, and I could hear these ducks like going down the little brook just next to me. So I popped my head out and just had a look at these little ducks like disappearing into this beautiful green tunnel with like the morning sunlight just coming in onto the water. And there was a sign at the top of that brook that I saw yesterday that said something about fracking water off-run going into that brook. And it just made me kind of like feel really glad that I was here and doing this with all of you amazing people. And that was just a perfect moment to know why we were here.
Can we get a tick, tock, tick?
I like how you're simultaneously yourself and me.
Tick tock, 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 tick tock. We're running off like cycle energy. It's perfect. So in these moments when the society is functioning in such a great way, it means we can like even make things a little bit better and a little bit more comfortable for everybody that's doing the work. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask if there's a couple of volunteers to be like umbrella holders for the cyclists over here. So that's a role people can take up if they want to, and just keep an eye on that and take turns and all the rest of it. Coming on and off the bikes, of course, that's an obvious one. There's one that I'm feeling like I'm forgetting. Maybe you can even just like feed them water as well, just like splurt it right in their faces. Like, ah.